I think there's something to be said about building a cheer squad and building people around you that like to associate with you, that like getting behind your idea. Because early on, you really are just the people that you could get around you to believe. I'm Chevrier. I'm the founder of Sampler. So just a bit about me, my background we said earlier, I'm a marketer, so don't come from a startup background at all. Worked in agency for a couple years, working with consumer packaged good companies, and immediately saw a problem in the product sampling space, which was that product sampling traditionally is quite untargeted, hard to measure, and really hard for brands to keep in contact with consumers after they receive a sample. So Sampler helps consumer packaged good companies distribute samples online in a more targeted, measurable, and social way. But I'm not here to talk about this today. I'm here to talk about something that I think will be a bit lighter. I think it's going to be a bit more of a reminder of the things that matter. A lot of people tell me, hey Marie, like, what's your special sauce? What is it about you that makes Sampler grow so quickly? And I like to think it's because people like me. And I'm not trying to say I'm the most likable person in Toronto, but I think there's something to be said about building a cheer squad and building people around you that like to associate with you, that like getting behind your idea. Because early on, you really are just the people that you could get around you to believe. So I'm going to define a cheer squad. So it really starts with you, and I'll get into that. It gets into key customers, your early employees, your advisors, your mentors. There's a difference between advisors and mentors. Advisors are people that are potentially, a stand-in CFO or a stand-in CEO, and mentors, I believe, are more people that you can look up to, like maybe less often, and maybe more on a personal basis. Board members, investors, these are all people that are going to be part of your cheer squad. They're going to build your story with you. They're going to be the ones that are going to be saying awesome things about you and putting your name out there. But step one of building your cheer squad is definitely starting with you. If you're gonna jump, you better believe that you're gonna land, and you really, really need to make sure that if you're gonna undertake this crazy journey, you really believe in it. So you have to know yourself, and you have to know that, when Monday comes and everything goes wrong and you're staying up all night, you're still going to believe that this idea is exactly what you should be working on for the next 10 years of your life. So start with you and make sure you're really cheery about your idea. Step two is to go and get market validation and start with clients. I started with mock-ups. This is the first version of Sampler. It didn't work, it didn't click, it was a Photoshop file, but it's what got me my first client. And the client was a vitamin company, and I showed them a pair of sunglasses. So just to show you that sometimes you just got to get out there, and if you're solving a real need, the person will wait for you to build it. Like, they will, because if there's nothing out there in the market that they can currently use, you highlighting a strong enough problem for them will definitely make them wait for you to solve it. Then you got to pick the right employees. The right early employee is not necessarily someone who is an expert in what you're doing. It could be someone who's highly motivated to learn. It could be someone who's highly motivated behind your dream, that's going to stand behind you. For me, my first early employee was actually someone that was studying to become a dentist, but really believed in what Sampler was doing. And she's now one of my key employees and my second in command, and she's been amazing. And so I found out who first, and then we figured out what we were going to do. And I think that that's something that Jim Collins also says in Good to Great, and I think that it's very true. So make sure you find people that you really trust, and then together you'll figure out the steps. Step 4 is getting kick-ass advisors. I hear often people are like, oh, like, wouldn't it be great if I could work with the founder of Hootsuite or the founder of whoever. You can. Like, people actually love to hear that they're awesome. And you need to remember that. People love to know that they could be useful, and especially founders that have exited before, especially if they're people that potentially, you know, in my space, the consumer packaged good industry, it could be kind of boring sometimes, you know, potentially being a brand manager, but they have a wealth of knowledge, but being involved with innovative companies like Sampler is super exciting to them. So there's no reason that I can't reach out to someone there and ask for their help. So just believe that you have an awesome idea, and that if you can actually say why they will be useful, they will get behind your idea. So don't be afraid to reach out. Just reach out politely and with a concise message. Step 5 is being part of the community. I don't know if you guys have heard of Sampler before, but you likely have, and if you have, it's because we are just participating in everything. We are literally participating in events like this. We're part of the DMZ. We were part of a competition called Startup Next that really accelerated Sampler. We were part of Mars. We were part of the Next Founders. We attend Every Tech Toronto. We're really heavily involved. And being involved means, you know, certainly getting some services from the community, but also participating and giving back as well. And that's definitely something that you should think about. So there's so much things going on in Toronto. You have to take part in these communities, because they will be the ones helping you out and retweeting your tweets and talking about your launch and all that important stuff, and inviting you to speak at events like this to potentially eventually meet someone who's going to be key to your team. So be part of the community. You have no excuses not to be. And showcase your wins. So that's another big thing, is I feel like as Canadians, sometimes as women, we are very humble. We constantly think, you know, maybe I shouldn't be bragging about things. Well, Sampler won the PayPal competition at DX3 today, and I'm pretty pumped about it. So these are the types of things that you need to feel like, hey, you know what, I'm putting myself out there. I'm not doing it for nothing. I'm doing it to show that I can, and once I have these wins, I have to show them off. So first off, definitely if you participate in competitions, make sure you showcase it. Also, if you have an awesome case studies become really, really important in those early clients that came on with you. Make sure that you actually incentivize them to spread the word about your solution with you. So, for example, one of the things that we do is that I slide a line in the master services agreement with all my clients that actually says that they agree that we're going to do a joint press release, and half the time they just don't notice. And the times that they do notice, it becomes a point of negotiation. And I explained that I've given them a great offer, and that because we have the joint press release, they got a discount. And usually it passes 90% of the time. And when it doesn't, that's fine. So just make sure that you have a plan for showcasing your wins. You have to go into it jumping, thinking you're going to land, and that's just one example of setting up yourself to showcase your wins. Bring on some smart money. So one of the things that I think we did really well is bring on amazing investment partners. So we got investment from Mars. We got investment from Ryerson Futures. We got investment from BDC, EDC, the ex-CEO of Molson Canada. These people send signals to the community that, you know, this startup has been vetted for. It's a startup that has been looked into, but they're also really helpful networks, right? They have now a stake in making sure that Sampler is successful, and so they're always lending a hand, and they have a bunch of different services that you can benefit. Now you need to know what your networks or your investors are good at, and you need to be really good at making sure that you're using them. I say treat it like a job interview, and as you're fundraising, certainly at first you might want to be getting just anybody around the table, but make sure that you think about what is that investor actually going to bring to me, and make sure that they know that you're not in it just for the money. Invest in personal growth. So I think that's my biggest learning from the last year. Sampler's actually grown from 2 in December of 2014 14, up to now 15 team members. So we've had a big spur in growth. And I was thinking about why do people like working at Sampler, and I really do think that it's because we understand personal growth. I understand that everybody that comes to work every day is getting behind the mission of our company, but I need to get behind their personal growth too. I need to make sure that at Sampler they're growing faster than anywhere they could because they're amazing, and I want to keep them on my team. So as you start building your team, just make sure that you have a plan for those employees to grow with the company, right? So talk to them often about the future of the company. Talk to them about the vision, but talk to them about the vision you have for them within the company and how their role might evolve. So this is just a quick handbook a picture that we have. We created this employee handbook, and this was just a way of me saying, like, hey, we're a small company, we're really, really busy, and I probably shouldn't have spent an entire week creating a handbook that has 80 pages, but I did because I really care about your personal growth and the investment you make in Sampler, and so I think that that's definitely something you should do. Step 9 is remember proper etiquette. I often get people that ask me, hey Marie, I realize you got investment from this person, can I get an intro? And I'm like, yeah, sure, but like, help me, right? Like, I don't know anything about your company, like, help me understand who you are, like, where do I know you from? If it's just because you read something about Sampler, that's fine, but just be honest and send me a quick blurb about what your company does. Offer to jump on a call if I want to pre-screen you, or I don't know, don't be too friendly too. Like, I often get like, hey, hey Marie, like no, like you gotta just have proper etiquette. And I think that, like, to be honest, I think that I had to work that myself because there's just things that are expected. So if you're fundraising right now, one key like learning has been definitely if you're asking for an introduction, quick blurb about your company, not too long. Make sure it's hard hitting. Make sure it has some of your key traction points, and attach potentially a one-pager, like an exec summary that explains your company in longer length, just to make sure that the person who's going to make the introduction has all the tools necessary to actually make that introduction. Paid forward. So I'm a huge believer, and I don't know if anyone's ever invented this rule before or it just works for me, but the rule to me is always to have someone that's at least 1 year ahead of me and at least 1 year behind me as far as their development, the growth of their company, as people that I talk to very often. So I like to talk to someone who's a year ahead of me because they will tell me, oh yeah, I remember when that happened, or this is what's coming up. But I love talking to someone that's a year behind me because it's really freaking cool when someone's going through something, then you're like, hey, you know what, I went through that. And that reminds me of the valuable lesson that I might have forgotten about because I go through valuable lessons every day, right? And so I really think that rule is really important. And definitely don't necessarily start that until you're like 1 or 2 years into your company, but definitely try that. And it feels good to help people. So pay it forward. And then I'm just going to do a bonus one. 10 would have been better, but I just had 11. So the other thing is to send constant signals. People invest in lines and not dots, and I think that that's one of my favorite things. So all of the points I said before will help you create more dots that will create lines. When I talk to investors, they like to know that the growth I've made in the last 6 months, and they like to have heard about me a couple of times before I walk into the room. It changes the conversation completely. They know what you're doing, and you can go deeper into the conversation than you could ever if they had never heard about you.